So welcome back to day 4 of part 4 of the Discovery series. Now, as I said yesterday, there's a number of different reasons why we end up wanting things to be different than the way that they are. In fact, there are 3 sort of principal reasons. The first one is simply a matter of awareness. Very often, we're so caught up in thought, it's quite a habitual kind of thing, that we're not fully aware of where the mind is at any one time. So it tends to sort of spin off in these discursive sort of moments, or perhaps a particular emotion gathers a huge amount of steam until we suddenly realize what's happening and how we actually feel. So obviously being aware is key to understanding how we relate to these moments. But then there are 2 more sort of secondary sort of things, and I've mentioned them just briefly over the last couple of days. But one is a resistance to how things are, wanting things to stop because we experience them as being unpleasant in some way. On the other hand, there's the tendency to chase after pleasant sensations. But even when we perhaps attain them, even if it's only of a very sort of temporary nature, we then worry about losing them. So there's always this sort of dynamic going on where we're either wanting to get rid of the unpleasant feelings, whether that's thoughts, situations, emotions, doesn't matter, or we're chasing after the opposite. Very hard to have a relaxed, calm mind, a contented mind, when we're always wanting things to be different in this way. So this is why it's so important to be aware. So we're going to note in a slightly different way today. Again, I'll talk you through it when we get to that stage. To begin with, just take a moment to settle yourself in the chair. And remember, you're looking for a nice upright posture. It's very easy over time with meditation to become a bit lazy with the position, with the posture. So we're looking for a body which reflects that mental state of alertness on the one hand, relaxation on the other. And when you're ready, with the eyes open, just taking a few nice big deep breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And with the next out breath, just gently closing the eyelids, allowing the breath to return to its natural rhythm in and out of the nose. As you become more aware of the weight of the body and those physical points of contact, those sensations in the body. As always, noticing any sounds. And then just bringing the attention back to the physical sensations in the body. And in the usual way, starting at the top of the head, just scanning down, noticing not only the different feelings in the body, but also the way in which you meet them, whether there's a sense of wanting to change them in some way, to expand a pleasant feeling, or to resist an unpleasant feeling. So as you're doing this, being careful not to get caught up in lots of thinking. Instead, simply noticing the feeling and the tendency to react to that feeling in a particular way. At the same time, starting to become a little bit more aware of the underlying mood right now. And again, how that mood is met. Whether there's a feeling of liking it, of wanting it to continue, have more of it, or resisting it, wishing that the underlying mood was different in some way. Just pausing for a moment, just to be clear about what your motivation is today. Remembering how this exercise has the potential to benefit not just you, but all the people around you in your life as well, all the people you come into contact with. And in turn, the people that they come into contact with. So the exercise, the potential kind of reach of the exercise is often a lot bigger, a lot wider than we imagine. And as always, just remembering that idea of blue sky. The idea that the blue sky is always there. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to try to create something. It's just about stepping back and allowing this process to unfold. So with that in mind, just shifting the attention now, if you haven't done already, to the breath, the movement of the breath in the body. Just settling into the rhythm of that, noticing how the body's breathing right now. Noticing how each breath is a little different to the last. And then before you actually begin to count the breaths, as I said, I'd like you to note slightly differently today. So it's still using exactly the same technique. The only difference is we're now going to note how we meet the experience that's happening in the body and in the mind. So remember, the starting place for noting is being aware. So in the moment that you realize you've been distracted, that is awareness. There's awareness right there. In that moment, I'd like you just to note whether there's a sense of resistance or a sense of indulgence. Whether you're wanting to continue in that line of thinking, of feeling, of sensation, or whether you're wanting to get away from it, you're wanting it to stop. Again, not thinking about it, simply noting resistance, indulgence. Remember not to get caught up in lots of judgment. It's a very natural thing. It's part of being human. But we can learn how to relate to these things in a very sort of skillful way. So as you follow the breath today, just remembering, very simple noting today, just resistance or indulgence. And then just gently bring the attention back to the rise and the fall of the breath again. So just continue in that way now. And just let any focus at all now go, just letting the mind do whatever it wants to do, just for 10 or 20 seconds or so. And bringing the attention back to the body once again, those physical points of contact. Noticing any sounds, any smells, any tastes. And then in your own time, just gently opening the eyes, maintaining that position, being clear about where you're going next, what you're going to be doing, being clear about carrying that quality of calm and clarity with you to that next activity and throughout the day. And as you sit back in your chair now, just remembering that as you go through the day today, to continue to note in just the same way. So obviously the starting point is always awareness. If we're not aware, then we're not able to do anything about the way in which we react or respond to these situations. So in being more mindful, we will become more aware. We are more aware. But it's then in noting what it is we're getting swept away by. Are we getting swept away by pleasant sensations, pleasant situations? And if we are, is that causing any sense of discomfort, perhaps a sense of fear or worry that it might not continue, that we might lose it in some way? Equally, if we're getting swept away by feelings of discomfort or of wanting things to be different in some way, is that causing a sense of dis-ease or tension in the body and in the mind? So the more you're able to note these very objectively, free from judgment, free from criticism, just very gently noting with a sense of curiosity, the more ease you'll have in both the body and in the mind. And we'll continue this theme tomorrow as we continue with day 5